idea of how do we evaluate a property, how do we get our business plan together, how do we form a team and roll through things, that stays the same. We have to learn about each other. And the whole idea today is that there are things that we got to discuss that everybody's going to have to discuss and go through. Getting your business plan together, getting an EIN number, why you get a checking account, business, ideas together. And then individually, I want to meet with you and find out what specific is it that's unique to your idea that we have to customize our plan for. So that's why I'm trying to have these. And we'll do that for a while. Probably 3 to 4 meetings we'll get together and we'll cover basic information. And then once that basic information is done, then what we'll do is we'll use this time together as a group meeting where we bring deals together, trade deals, and know about other things that'll help you. So that's the intent and idea of what's happening today. Guys, didn't miss anything. We just started talking, so perfect timing. There may be 1 or 2 or 3 other people who come in. Grab water or anything you see that is useful and helpful to keep you hydrated and going.
What's the water back here?
Refrigerators in there. Bathrooms are also straight past on either side where they're located. So I probably want to have that air conditioner turn on. Is it hot kind of stuffy in here for you guys? You okay?
I just kind of breathe though.
You good?
Yeah.
Well, if you do, just hop on the AC. I try to have some air blow through here earlier. I had the front door open and the back door open. I like natural air as opposed to AC. So if y'all do too, we can
Much as possible.
open the back door and leave the AC off, because I mean, I'd rather have it
Absolutely.
flow through and not have
Pleasant to
the AC on. Turn that down.
Just this one here?
Yeah. Okay. Start all over again. Welcome. Glad to be here. We're going to do this a couple weeks in a row until we get everybody to the same spot and where we need to be, business plan and idea and so forth. And then once that happens, we won't meet every other week. Right now, we're in the first and third week to talk about basics, but we'll be talking deals. What deals can we use and so forth, or we'll use it as the best that we can come up with. Also, an idea what I think is going to happen is that the RIA group is going to be, it'll outgrow the size that it's at and where it's at. And I've always dreamed of pulling the cream of the crop out of those meetings and have deal time for people who's really doing things, not just tire kickers and I've been studying for umpteen years. No, people who are really, really doing deals. And there's a lot of action that can happen when you get a group of people that's trading information, trading deals, partnering, and doing stuff like that. So that's always been a dream of mine. I never wanted to do group because it's just a challenge. Every month you're getting the group together and all those aspects. And they're running it really, really nice the way they've got it set up now. So that is good. I also wanted to give you some information sheets on deal ideas and things that I've come up with that is kind of rolled off. So far I may have given you that already. I need to make some more copies. To kind of give you an idea of contact times and issues and deal setups. You look at it and go, well, that isn't what I agreed to, that ain't what I said. Jump on down to number 8. So. Did you get one? Everyone have one? How we play together? sheet. I've tried to determine what's the best way and equitable way to do what we're doing in the first year and how to do deals. Some people say, well, I don't want to do initial startup fee, or I can't do this, or I want to break it up over time. So these ways, just partner and do 50-50 on the first 3 deals. Those are the hardest ones anyway, to get started with going. After that, it'll just be $1,500, but we're still going to be on call, and how you do this, how you do that, work this. That's what I've come up with as an idea. There's still an initial monthly fee that's paid. And then the question is, well, what day do you want to draft my account, this and the other? Some people's got different dates. So we'll talk about all that when we do our one-on-one. Days that I'm available: Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 10 to 5 roughly. That's by phone call, email, whatever. You guys probably know I'm not real good at email. I'm really good with the phone. You call me, I'm either on the phone or I'll call you right back. Saturday, kind of hit and miss. If I'm in town, if I'm not doing anything, not doing family time, yeah, I'm going to take your phone call. If not, I call you back. So sorry about that, but Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you got me. And then from 10 to 5. Group meetings, the first and third. The third week for sure, because that's going to follow the RIA meeting. The way I think that, if I did that right, it's the second week, right? Is RIA, St. Louis RIA, is the second week of the month?
Second
And
Wednesday.
Our third would
Yeah,
put
it's
us
the
right
second.
after their second Wednesday.
Their second Wednesday.
Second Wednesday.
Yeah.
Right, so if we're the third, it's still fresh in our mind, it was Wednesday, now it'll be Tuesday when we meet and bring the deals. So that's what we're gonna do. Individual one-on-ones, 30 minutes, and some of these things I'm locking myself into in the future. Some of you guys know that we haven't had a 30-minute conversation, it's been an hour, it's been longer, or whatever it needs to do to take care of it. It's easy to do those things when there's fewer people, but I'm trying to have 20 students in the future, so I can't over-obligate myself now. And that's another thing, once you put it out there in print, everybody's like, well, you said. So understand that when this size group, I can do an hour, and I can do more, or whatever, but going long-term, I want to have something that's manageable and reasonable. Tuesdays will probably be days I can do one-on-ones prior to the meeting, and then Thursdays will be the other day, probably between 1 and 5, whatever, when I can do one-on-ones with you. So that's the general idea. A retreat, one this year. I'd like to have 3 every year from the group that's going on, but I'm trying to have one September, October-ish, Nashville-ish or Memphis-ish, driving distance that's close by. Why you say, Tim, why you want to do it Wednesday, Thursday, Friday? Why not over a weekend? I have to preach, I have to get back, and all that headache associated with that is scheduling it. And then even so, after that, I probably would, either the front side or the back side, I'm going to have days where I just enjoy wherever we're going. I love to have that. And understand my goal, I think I've shared with you, when I have 10 rental properties paid for, free and clear, I'm done with real estate for the most part. Okay, this is an access and a way to get to teach and be life coaching. That's my desire, is to help you or help anyone get from where they are to where they want to be and establish themselves residual income, whether it's business ownership or whatever. It doesn't necessarily have to be real estate. Real estate is the market that obviously I was most familiar with and have a platform. So that's why I started real estate. I love real estate, but from that aspect of it generating income for you. Somebody's always gonna need a house. We surely believe that. And at the right price, you will always have a renter. And as long as you have somebody else managing it, it's somebody else's headache. So that, I hope that I can impress upon you guys. It's a great way to make income and flips, but it doesn't have to be your headache. And that's why the name of my company is Headache Free, because I will take on someone's headaches for a very short period of time. But I'm gonna do it a whole lot different than I used to, because I used to live their headaches. Not doing property management this time around, so that's where the majority of them came from. Okay, with that basic stuff out of the way, who had a manual, who did not have a manual last time. And manual usually comes with an exchange of this, that you have a manual in front of you. But for those who do not have a manual, you probably need a manual. And some aspects we can talk about. Get you one you can look at. Flip through, keep the pages in order, please. Works there. Probably actually put it in there if it fit. This woman needs a hole puncher. You'd be willing to share your hole puncher. Put those in, appreciate it. In the beginning. If you would, everybody turn to the Code of Ethics, the first couple pages, just to kind of understand how we're working together and what's going on. Page 11. Basically, that's kind of give you an idea of what the expectations are. Met with the guy today and used to work out of the office, and the difference between what I'm trying to do this time and last time is, last time I controlled the environment, or at least I tried to control it as much as I could. I had real estate contractors, I had 3 rehab crews, I had a mortgage company, so I controlled my real estate agents, I had a broker, I had a property manager, broker there, and I had a mortgage company, and then we did private financing. So all of the pieces were in-house, and even that was hard to manage that, because even when we did the real estate network meeting, people were cutting deals left and right among one another, but it was in the house or under the umbrella of Rhino Homes. So I didn't know what all deals were happening that were there. And several years later, I endured some lawsuits that said, well, Rhino Homes did this, and Rhino Homes did that. I'm like, I don't even know you. But deals were conducted there, so they thought that all deals that were happening there were I had knowledge of, which I didn't. So in order to kind of limit that, we have a code of ethics that we try to adhere and live by, so people understand how we plan to operate going forward. Because I won't have all of those pieces. We will have a working relationship with people who have those title companies that we're working with, property managers that we're working with. But we have to let them know this is how we plan to do business. And in one situation today, he's a wholesaler, and he was trying to hook up people with property management. Well, the property managers tried to sell his client that he's introducing to them property out of their portfolio, which then blew up the deal, and nobody bought or did business with anybody. And you know, I'm not trying to stop anybody from doing business, but let's just understand, let's try to get our deal done first before you try to sell the person that I'm bringing to you your deal. You know, no one's trying to stop anybody from making income, but let's just have an understanding of how we operate together. And we're all trying to do above board transactions. We're not trying to get over on anybody. We're not trying to, pull the wool over anybody's eye. I'm very clear if we're going to work within one another's backyard. One thing that I tried to do last time, if, say I'm working with Melanie and she's buying a property that she intends to wholesale to somebody else in the group, we know roughly we're gonna add something to the deal, $3,000 to $5,000 or whatever. But then if we rehab the property and we're trying to sell it, it's a retail, so it may be $10,000 we're trying to profit on. But that's the same expectation I'm gonna have if I'm working with Denise and I'm selling it to somebody else that's trying to have it coded as rental. So we know there's a profit margin in there, but we're not gonna pump it up so much that it's like, wow, that's ridiculously crazy. Awesome. But just understand, we're working in this to make a profit, you know, and for the most part, we'll know what it is. We might make it sweeter if it's somebody in the group, as opposed to when we sell it to somebody, maybe Southside or just some outside agency, where we're gonna charge full retail. So that's kind of an understanding of how we will work together. Any questions with that, or things you see that's out of line? You know, you're responsible for doing your own due diligence. Big disclaimer that I don't have is I'm not trying to teach you CPA or lawyer or this or that. You can use my forms, but have them looked over by anybody that you know think necessary, your CPA or lawyer, to make sure they fit and they're up to date with the current code. So that's enough said on ethics. My code of conduct, I think we kind of talked about that the first Saturday. That's the next page over. Where do a lot of things come from? Like I said, years ago, on a family outing, and early in the morning, we got these 16 items of how we're to do business. I was able to find an old thing of what Rhino Homes we used to say. The code of the Rhino: take charge of yourself, make no excuses, charge massively, direct all your energies towards your burning desire, develop thick skin, mow down your obstacles, never cry with the cows. Charge with other rhinos, you have to give to get, expect massive success, and accept no excuses. A lot of those still apply. You know, we don't sit here and cry and whine with each other. I mean, it is about to do business. We don't give excuses, we don't take excuses. One thing, it used to be funny, my partner, he'd come with some stories, you know, and I go, is that number 56 or is that number 58? And he'd go, what do you mean? He's like, an excuse is an excuse is an excuse. So it don't matter. We just, you know, I'd say, oh, your chainsaw broke. And he'd be like, what are you talking about? I'm like, you know, it don't matter. The excuse, it don't matter what you give me, it doesn't matter. It's just an excuse. Are we going to solve the problem, or are we just going to talk about it? So I won't be that crazy with you guys. But later, once I know you, I might say something like that later, you know, we have a relationship. But I won't just blurt out, is that 56 or 57? But understand that we're all just trying to make things work. So that gives you a little bit of idea of some of the things that are the background pieces. Now, today, what are the things that everybody has to do and get together that makes us function? Business name. Business structure, operating agreement, EIN, checking account number. How many people have a business name already? Oh, beautiful. Now, how many people have a structure that's already filed, like an LLC, incorporated, or whatnot? Okay, so you're out. Do you know what you need to do in order to get that set up? Because you're out of state too, moving here.
Not really.
Okay, and why we should do that. And the question I had today is, why do you need that, and why do you need a structure and so forth? Why can't I just operate out of my own personal name? Kind of give you some background ideas. First of all, we're trying to help you establish a business so that, expecting that one day we're either going to sell this business, we're going to transfer it on to somebody else, or you want it to pay you and you're not necessarily needed in order to operate that business. Is that most people's desire here? Okay. So, in order to have a business you can pass on to somebody, it has to be an entity that protects you and protects them. So a business entity is in an aspect of, it can be a partnership, two people going together that's going to work together. It can be a loose partnership, it can be a formal partnership, but it's somewhere it's going to define, you're going to get paid X and I'm going to get paid X for me doing certain work and you doing certain work. That's a general partnership. Then you've got an incorporation, which is, it can be a corporation, an S Corp or C Corp. An S Corp generally is a pass-through entity that says I'm basically an individual in my own company, and the taxes I'm going to pay once on an S Corp. That's typically the best way I suggest that you get structured for what we're doing here. A C Corp is your normal big, huge corporation like Anheuser-Busch that you're going to get taxed twice. You're going to pay tax on a corporation, and you're going to pay tax as your individual pay that you're paying yourself as salary. I've done it that way. because I was told, oh, you wanna be able to write off all your expenses, you wanna be able to write off your health insurance and all that stuff, and your cars, that's lovely, but I don't like double taxation. You know, it's bad to pay once, let alone twice. So I got out of that and then formed the S Corporation. And you have to get permission from IRS to do all that and so forth. But to me, it's a smoother, easier transaction. It also limits the number of people who can invest in your company and other things, but for the most part, that's not a headache or a reason for you. The other form is an LLC. An LLC can be taxed as a C Corp or S Corp, but it typically doesn't give you a tax advantage like a corporation does. It's limiting your liability from people suing you, someone slips and falls on your property, they can't get to your assets. That's typically why you set up an LLC. Now, LLC can be owned by a corporation, and you can tell it to be taxed S Corp or C Corp, but it typically doesn't give you a tax benefit. Now, why would you want one of those structures? Because when we start using money from other people, when we create our private bank, you generally get past the usury laws, which says you can only charge, I think it's 14% in Missouri, from an individual to a company. So when you go company to company, you get past all the usury laws, because businesses can charge each other whatever they want to sustain business. So that's another reason why it just allows. Another reason, when you go to close, the title company, it's easier once you get your operating agreement to convey property from one company to another company. Another reason, you may only want to have 3 or 4 properties in your LLC that's worth, you guys come up with your idea, $500,000 or less. You limit your exposure. So you may have 3 different LLCs, each with $500,000 worth of assets, so if someone does slip and fall on your property, you're limited to the exposure that you're at risk at. Make sense? With all of those, have a filing feature, and every so often you have to re-up with the state and make sure that you're in good standing and so forth and all that, but we'll get to all that. One thing I want you to understand is you can create the LLC yourself. You can go online. We had someone this week do it, or last week do it. Pretty painless, I think. Would you tell us how that went for you, Lisa?
Yeah, it was really easy, because I had paid LegalZoom to do my last one, and it took like a month. And then he told me where to go, and I went online, and it really just walks you through the questions, you answer them, and type in the information, and then it spits out your operating agreement and your certificate. And then I think there's even a tutorial that tells you then how to go get your EIN number, and it takes a little while just to walk through it all. I did it with 2 LLCs, but I was impressed, so.
Now here's the difference in what I'm talking about in coaching. Coaching, for me, is someone that's been down the path before that's just gonna tell me what I need to do. It's not that I need to talk you through and convince you to do it, this, that, and the other. Lucy is one of those, and most people in here, just tell me what I need to do and give me a track to run on, and I'll run on. And that's the good thing I like about the people I wanna coach. Those are the people I wanna coach. I don't particularly like the ones that, you know, are convincing you, yes, you need to do it, and I'm gonna pull you along, and come on, and really, it's okay, it's not gonna be. That's not the group I like. I like the group that we just need a little bit of direction, point me in, and let's go. Because we can do so much more that way. I just had to encourage her and say, here's the website, here's what we do, and you know, yes, it needs to be perpetual. There's some things that you may not know. You're the registered agent, that's the one I couldn't think of. You know, who's that need to be? Well, you can be that person, you know, and you just fill it in and let it go, and you're done. Okay, so now she's got that aspect out of the way, and all these are preliminary things that we need to do before we can even really get going on deal 1. So that's the background stuff, and then Carson asked today, you know, why do you need a structure and this so forth? And it's also for things that I've experienced that down the road you would say, well, Tim, why didn't you tell me about this? You do 3 or 4 deals, you make 20, 30 grand each deal, and then you've got your regular income that you're going on, and then all of a sudden at the end of the year, Uncle Sam wants to send you a tax bill for $24,000, and you go, hold up. Where'd all this come from? And now you're talking about, well, where's my write-offs? Well, if you've got a company structured properly, you've got your own separate checking account, you've got a separate EIN number, and you've been keeping your paperwork together, now we can start talking about all the deductions that you can take and wanna take. And we don't have to go back and recreate everything. Because right now, you're not worried about taxes. You're worried about, Tim, how do I make that deal happen? But come December, and then more so January, February, when you get the tax bill, then you're gonna be focused on taxes. But we don't wanna go back and recreate things. So I'm thinking down the line for a situation that I know that you may encounter, that if we set it up properly today, we don't have to come back and try to recreate it and make it look right, and take more time than if we just set it up right now. It's gonna save you a lot of headache in the future. So, don't have to know all the ins and outs and about it, other than get you an accordion file if you're not already, throw the stuff in there. I did a envelope system when I was starting out and just kept, it's simple. These are my expenses on every property, threw it in an envelope, threw all the receipts in there, in every property, and that's how I did it for the longest. People are like, oh, you can use Excel and all that. That's great. You can use any kind of system you want, but me on the fly, basic, it worked fine. The 1 year that I got audited by the IRS, I think I had 23 properties that I had sold that year, and they wanted me to create an Excel spreadsheet and show my checks and in and out for every single one of those properties. It was real simple to go back and pull the envelope out, and not real simple, but my kids, we had checks all over the floor, matching them up with invoice and this and the other, and preparing to create a spreadsheet. But I was able to do it, and it worked out fine. It was not enjoyable, but it was 5 months going back through the IRS and creating it for them and putting it together. And that's a whole other story I'll tell you about later. But it turned out well. They owed me money when I got done, but it was months and months. They only sent me half when we got done. I didn't care. They're like, you can find out why we sent you. I'm like, I don't care. I'm just glad to be done. The EIN number, what is that? That's your employee identification number. It's kind of like your social security number for the individual. That's how they track you, how you get a checking account set up. You definitely want that because everything you're going to set up in MSD, Ameren, all that, when you call in, they're going to want to know that EIN number so they can turn it on in your company's name and not your personal name. Checking account, obviously, when you go to get bank financing, they're going to want you to set up a bank account at every single location where they're giving you money. So that's how you can have 20-some checking accounts like I had at one time. Different places, you may have multiple companies, and every time you set up an account, they want you to have your money there. And you're like, sure, I'll set up an account here. And then you just got headaches going on. But business cards, definitely want business cards. Simple business cards. I like to put my picture on it. I don't have it on this one, but that's some name recognition, face recognition people have. Most realtors do that. But it just makes it simple when you're networking with people. They go, oh yeah, I remember that person. While we're talking about names, you can have a real long name if you like on your business, but if there's something that is easy for them to remember, and they can remember your website, and you can get a real long name, but also try to buy the rights to the short abbreviated name also when you get your website. Also, I didn't know this, but when you're thinking of business names, you're going to wherever you go to check and see if that name is available. If it is, buy it that moment, because if you don't, there's somebody that comes behind you and buys that name, and then when you go back, you go, oh yeah, I'm ready to buy it. Now you got to buy it back from them. It's like $150 to $300. I didn't know they did that, but apparently they do, because I went back to get all them nice names that I picked out, and they weren't available. So, and I wasn't gonna buy it. I'm cheap, if you guys didn't know. So you can have the name. I'll come up with something else. But that's something to be conscious about when you're doing the business name. Any questions on the business piece? Operating agreement. That is the piece that you need that says you have the ability to bind the company. You can get a loan for the company. It's usually 6 pages to 20-some pages. I would buy that the first time from a lawyer. This is off camera, but you acknowledge it.
Oh, okay.
But you buy it let them do all the legalese, but it's real easy to type in, or especially if you say, hey, could you email me that, you know, and then if you have other business names and whatever, you simply change and insert the new business name and address in another operating agreement. I did that for years and years. Because a title company, they just want to know, can you bind the company, and that's for a single member LLC. Most people, you just saw single member, you're not gonna have other people in your business. Okay. So you don't have to ask anybody what you're doing. You know, you have to have business meetings once a year and all that stuff. If you're a corporation, if you're LLC, you don't have to do all that stuff. But the bank is gonna, the title company's gonna wanna know that you have the ability to bind your company.
It just might be worth pointing out though, even if you do have a corporation and you have a business meeting, you know, if you're operating it by yourself, you are president and secretary and whatever, and you just, you know, it's me, myself, and I after the meeting.
Right, and you have to record those.
You do.
You have to record those once a year. You can have them whenever you want to. You know, you write yourself a note, this is what you talked about, and you approved it, and you liked the meeting, and now it's over. But you do have to record that and put that away each year in your notes. And I do have some of that little legal paperwork somewhere. Those are easy to, yes.
So what are some of the costs associated with like the operating agreement and the EIN and all that stuff?
Good question. The EIN number is free. That you're going to the IRS, .gov or whatever, and simply based on your name, and you've got the state registration thing or whatever, it shows that you have a name and it's okay with the state. Then you apply, and 20, 30 minutes or so it comes back. It's fairly quick, but it doesn't have a cost associated with it. If you're gonna get an operating agreement from a lawyer, somewhere in the range of around $400 to $600 is reasonable for a first time setting up the LLC. Now they'll want to do everything for you. They'll, you know, get the name for you, post it through Missouri, file and get your EIN number and all that. But you can just say, simply give me an operating agreement.
So that's just your LLC or your S corp.
Right. Well, that's just your LLC.
Okay.
Corporations may cost you a little bit more, but it should all be roughly in that same cost.
Tim, are you
State
okay with
charges.
LegalZoom? With using LegalZoom?
I've not used it, but I don't know, is it cheaper than a
I
regular?
think I paid like, for my first one, like $79 or something.
Okay.
It took time, you know, it'd probably be faster to go to an attorney, but it wasn't very expensive.
Yeah.
But I was gonna take those same documents and scan them in and try to recognize them, cause I don't have a, but I was wondering if you felt like that was okay, or if I should. go
Yeah, I've not used them, I only used the legal stuff when I did, that I had to do the corporation and my own meetings with myself, and I just bought some piece offline that worked really well. But it wasn't LegalZoom, it was similar to that. The only problem is if they need to make adjustments for the state of Missouri. You know, some of them are just generic, but Missouri may have its own little pieces.
I was just gonna say, the state also charges a nominal fee when you register your business name and your structure. It depends, they have a little table of how much they charge based on what you're doing, but
You talking about a fictitious name or?
Well,
no, I mean, the real thing, when you're registering yourself as a business with the state.
The LLC, yeah, it's what, $58, and then the other one is $50.
Right, yeah,
depending
they
on-
have different.
Right, the corporation, I think, is cheaper than the LLC. One's $50, one's $58, I think, but there is a fee when you're talking about to
Right. It's
establish your
not
company.
very much, but it is there.
Right,
Fee for processing paperwork.
and then every year after that, it's $20, I think, to keep a corporation. You gotta be in good standing, nothing's changed, everything's okay, and you just gotta file that. So,
That's it for this first part, is that worth sitting down, meeting with an attorney just to kind of?
I don't think so,
No.
but
Sure.
if you're gonna do it for the very first time, I'm trying to get a deal with the guy down the street that'll say, hey, if I send you a bunch of students, can you come give them a break? Cause it's, you know, you're gonna come with a name, you're gonna come with this, you're gonna come with that. All he has to do is basically just process that boilerplate information on the LLC. He asks your name, address, this and the other, who's your, you know, secretary and treasurer stuff. And 15 minutes later, it's done. So if we can cut a deal, that's what I'm gonna try to do. So. I got a sister-in-law who's a lawyer, but she does mostly evictions and so forth. Yes.
I was just gonna say, I did meet with my accountant, just to kinda look at our financial picture and decide like what percentage ownership I should be and if my husband should be involved, and he kinda drew me lots of pictures, but eventually gave me advice on, you know, what he thought was our best structure, I guess. And that was like $75 for an hour, but I felt like it just made me feel better that I had done the right thing when I set it up, cause I kinda flew that day by the seat of my pants.
Did he say S corp, or what did he say, or?
Well, what he and I decided was, we started out with an LLC. He said he wanted to see us moving forward and making money, and he wanted me to come back in like 6 months and look at it. And if we wanted to then create an S corp and run it through the S corp, that's what he would recommend doing.
Okay.
He just said, you know, he'd have to, I guess, set up a bookkeeping system if he was gonna do an S corp. He didn't wanna start charging me if we weren't generating income yet, and so, but he said as soon as we started making money, to call him and come back in, so. I don't know if that's good advice or not, Tim, that's just what he and I ended up.
Well, I understand what he's saying, you know,
Yeah.
definitely I don't want him to be taking care of your business because it's so expensive. There's bookkeepers that I have come in once every 90 days and they put it all into QuickBooks,
Yeah,
and I give him that 5, I give my CPA the 5. Now, once he can set it all up and do all that, but you don't wanna pay him to
Right.
track and keep, well, I know, which one. You know, you can't pay $75 an hour to do that when you can pay some guy, I think I pay him $35 an hour. And he
Sure,
comes in, he
right.
does all the same things, and I get the disc, and I take it to the CPA, and it's all there, and it's done. And that was with a lot more stuff, I mean, we're talking is, as long as you've got Quicken or something along that, it's just gonna track, even Excel spreadsheet, track, here's my expenses and here's my income. Boom, that's it, here's, you know, the HUD statements, purchase and sold, you can pretty much do that. Trying to keep the cost down, but if you have them track it and send in and pay your, you know, contracts and all that, that can get costly. But it's generally not necessary at the level we're probably gonna be at in the first couple of years to begin. You don't need that. Quicken get you by real good at QuickBooks. Once you get set up, and they got QuickBooks now, there's QuickBooks Renter, QuickBooks Contractor, that is set up with the class scales, class fields already established. That makes it really, really simple. But Quicken is super cheap, you know, $40, $50. That's gonna track everything you need to know. So, any other questions on this, cost-wise? All right, Life Vision,
can I ask
Yes.
you one question? And if this is too individual, tell me, we can talk about it another time. So, we had set up originally an LLC to hold our properties with, and then I was thinking I needed another LLC to actually conduct my business in. Do you agree with that
Yes.
model?
yes.
Okay, so the LLC that I'm applying to the bank with, well, the one that I did apply to the bank with, cause I didn't have you then, was my holding LLC. Is that okay?
Doesn't matter.
Okay, cause that's what I did my business plan in, and then I started thinking about it. So then for business cards and stuff, I wanna use my LLC that I wanna conduct my business in. Okay,
Yep. See, I had, when mine was set up, no one even knew the corporation because you don't want, I mean, they can find you. But if people are looking to sue you, trust me, the lawyer's gonna run everything and find every piece. And they're gonna sue everybody and every entity that you have. So even though you have it set up a certain way, when you get sued, they sue everything. So just know that. But I had mine set up that way. No one really knew what the corporation was because I didn't promote it. I only had the LLC. So yes, I would definitely do that. But it doesn't matter from the bank standpoint which one you use or don't use because they're gonna look and wanna know your whole structure too.
so there's no legality with piercing your corporate or anything, if you're using, like, I was just looking at that thinking I didn't know which LLC to use for the checking account.
It does have to do with piercing, but that has to do with, did you swap money from one to the other? Because that's what the lawyers are gonna say. Even though you say that you're separate, are you truly separate? You know, you're not taking loans out and back and forth, you're connecting the two together. Then they say, well, if you have two separate entities, they go together. So if you totally keep them separate, then that's the whole reason why you have them separate, is because they don't wanna come in and, you know, pierce
So is
veil.
the LLC that's holding the property the one that then is using the funds to rehab, and is that the one that the checking account's name should go in? Or is this something to have a conversation about another time?
Yeah,
It's okay.
but you can, what you can do is you can do a rehab and all of that, and then you transfer the property over to the other one. That's how I would. You buy the property, you do the rehab, you do all the construction back and forth, and then when you, out of this bank, say that you're with Reliance Bank, did this one, but St. John's Bank is where you're gonna hold your long-term holds. When you do the transaction and you refinance the property from the Reliance over to St. John, it's all clean, because you're done with it at that time. You've done all the rehab, you've done all this, so that is separate at that point. That's how I get mine. Do all the rehab with one company, and then when you take out, you refinance and move it over to the other pot, it's with a totally different bank also, with a different LLC. Does that make sense? You don't have to and all that, you can.
You sold
rehab,
it to the other LLC,
basically. And you can keep stuff that you work in. Mine is more so the dollar amount that's in your LLC as opposed to what you worked on. Because you got $500,000 worth of, most people keep $1 million worth of stuff in an LLC and then they get another one. That's typically what people do. If you're gonna lose it, you're gonna lose that. It's, 5 or 6 properties in one or more, just for liability reasons. But once again, that's a structure thing, that's an attorney, that's a CPA, them knowing your business and how you structure that, but generally, that's kind of the deal. Vision and business plan, how many people have gone to Life and Air? Okay, so most everybody, 2 people haven't. Have you heard of the word Life and Air, or even what the concept is, what we're talking about?
Read the book right now.
Okay. How did you get introduced to that?
Probably on Steve Cook's email list.
Oh, okay.
This happening, got it kind of associated as well.
Okay. That's
I think I got the book from Joe McCall, actually, that's what I got.
Oh, okay, all right, good. Arthur, are you familiar with it? Just haven't seen
Yeah.
it? Okay. Just the idea behind that is, I used to have what's called your life vision before Life and Air was even, before Sean came. It's what are you gonna do with your life? Because it doesn't matter, we're not chasing money, because it's just another job. You quit your job, and I'm gonna do real estate, and I'm gonna make money, it's still another job. You know what I'm saying? And if you've read Robert Kiyosaki, he's talking about you trade off one to another. Same with E-Myth. I can do that better myself, and I'm gonna stop being the HVAC installer. I'm gonna be the HVAC business owner, but I'm still gonna do something on the side. You just bought yourself a job. What I'm trying to do is create your business to where it will eventually run without you being there, and will throw off cash to you that doesn't require you to run it. You have to monitor it, but it's not dependent upon you being there in order for it to be profitable. And that's the difference. So I want to know, why are you doing that? What is your underlying motive? Somebody here says, I want to be able to take care of my children. I want to be the mom. I want to be the dad. I don't want to have someone tell me, well, I can't get off work today. You can't go to the ball game tonight. That's like, no, that's not happening. So is that the motivation? And then if so, what is the dollar amount that sets you free? How many houses do we have to have, or how many businesses do we have to have that's generating X number of dollars for you to truly be free? And I'm talking free at just the basic level, that pays your household bills today. Not living super fly like lifestyles of the rich and famous we're talking about. Just sets you free, and now you own your day. Because lifestyles of the rich and famous, that comes later if that's even a desire that you have. But we're calling it, what I call this is stage 2 money. And it's kind of like Life and Air says, the very first thing is your vision. Step 2 is eliminating your daily bills. Step 3 is, bigger, that cash makes you more cash that sets you up for a legacy. Now, I need to know this, and we really need to sit down, and because even though you put something on paper, there's 2 things that could be different. It could be me not understanding what you're saying, and it could be you not understanding what you're saying. Does that make sense? A lot of people say, well, I'm doing this is what I want, boom, boom, boom. But then when I dig deeper and ask questions, it's like, that's not really your motivation. This is your motivation. And then if that's your motivation, let's accomplish it this way. Or I need to find out what the split is between, because we all have this idea, I want to make a big wad of cash on a flip, and I want to be able to buy some residual rentals that provide me an income, because as I stack up the rentals, it will free me of my job. But there's a balance between how many I'm gonna sell and make as flips as how many I need to purchase. And then what's that order, and what's the mix, and what's your tolerance for debt, and, you know, 'cause everyone's got a different, I don't want any debt at all. Or, okay, I'm worth a little bit, or, you know, so I have to find out that mix, which develops how do we structure what you save and what you sell. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
And then beyond that, there's a tracking piece that I wanna put in here. Like I said, in my system, I use basic stuff that you can find everywhere. I use the life circle, which is the 7 elements life cycle. You know, when Life in Air first came out, there was like 16 different spaces and areas you could do. There's needs and wants and friends and no regrets, and there was a whole bunch of stuff. And when I first saw it, I'm like, some of those overlap, and I was confused as to what this means. I mean, they've reduced it now, but mine is just 7 basic things. There's spiritual, there's mental, there's physical, there's family, you know, there's career, you know, there's just basic, there's just life, no matter how you cut it up. We have 7 aspects of life, and that's generic, and you can track it. And what I want you to do in the beginning is, where do I stand in the beginning of us working together? Well, man, my social life sucks. Okay, it's a number 2. You know, family's pretty good, it's 7, you know, on a basis of 10. So then, at the end of the year, we do another assessment and go, have I basically helped you move from where you want to be, where you're at, to where you want to be? Because if I'm not successful at doing that, you need someone else. And my whole goal is to help you move down and become more of where you want to be. So I want to monitor that to having any success. The other piece is just straight numbers. Here's where my personal financial statement says today. Here's what my personal financial says 6 months from now. There should be an improvement. So if not, you know, once again, we can have a conversation. I'm not helping you. You need to find somebody that can, or you're not listening. One of the two. One of the 2 pieces. But you know, and there's some time too that you just have to, you know, take some start off time. But after a while, I mean, there's people been in coaching for years and years and years still at the same level. And to me, that's a social group. I'm not trying to have a social group. Yeah, it'd be nice you're collecting $400 or $500 from somebody who's just there, but that's a social group, in my opinion. Now, I'm not saying that, you know, sometime later, like, hey, I just like hanging out and we're doing good and things happening. I don't know, but I have to evaluate that at that time. But anyway, the other piece is, any questions on the life vision?
That's more like when we sit down and do one-on-one, right?
Right, it's in the book there. It's like the first phase. It says turn in. It says assignment number 1. I don't know what page it starts, 20 or something. Life purpose, where are we going? Starts on page 21. Those are questions you need to fill out. That just kind of gives me the why do you want to be here. And then there's the self-inspection, where it talks about life cycle balance. That's where it starts asking you the big questions. Why are you doing this? And fill those out. That's what we'll cover when we sit down. You don't have to write a whole lot or write a little, whatever. Those are pieces. If you're already in the life in there, a lot of that's already going to be filled out for you. Then you're just trying to boil it down to 6 or 7 bullet points, and you're good to go. Life in Air, in my opinion, doesn't really help you develop a business plan. They're good about all the other pieces, and then when you get to the business plan, they're like, oh, well, I don't want you to work on that, don't work on it, and then the whole week go by and it's like, I didn't work on my business plan.
They're leaving you hanging.
They leave you hanging. So my aspect is, okay, you probably got all the other pieces together, but you haven't honed in on your business plan. And even the business plan I've sent out to a couple of people, the 4-page piece that we take to the bank, that's not what I'm talking about is your business plan. I mean, that's the business plan for the bank, but I'm talking about how many rentals are we gonna have, what's it gonna look like, and how we're going to get there, and what's the mix of souls to that, and what's our marketing plan, and how are you gonna keep track of your properties, and how are, all those aspects that we need to know. Sit down with the guy today on his CRM, if anyone's heard of Zoho. I'm not computer hacked, but that's what I'm gonna try to go to and have him help me with and set up. What I'm trying to set up, and I would imagine you guys are too, a business that you can access from anywhere in the world. It's all cloud-based or computer-based, where no matter where you're at, you can still conduct business and nothing's gonna miss a beat. So that's where I've gotta take myself. And as you guys find out, or we find out, I'll share with you, you share with me, we minimize the headache. Marlon Clark is the one that I think is, I mean, and Joe McCall, I mean, those two have got everything so automated, it's great. But we'll share and ask them, work on their ears, see if they'll help us. Cash to purchase, that's the point we wanna get to. All this stuff here gets us here. Cash to purchase. Two different ways this can happen. You can have great stellar credit and have a good strong balance sheet, and you can walk into any bank that is lending and say, give me some cash, and they'll say, what do you have that I can take if this doesn't work out real well? And you pledge that, and you're off to the races. That's plan A. That's the easiest plan. I like that plan. I like people with that plan. But there may not be everybody that works on that plan. Then plan B is, we gotta go find some other cash. The second best method I like is private money. Private money would be a person that has excess cash that's either dead in a CD, or it's mattress money, or it's just in the bank, or they left a company and they haven't rolled it over yet, and they don't know that they can lend you cash. Now, you say, well, Tim, I don't know all the ins and outs about telling them how to transfer the money and all this and all that. That's fine. I'm gonna try to hold a meeting once a month. We just had one at Brooks Bible College last Friday. I had 6-8 people that was there. And we did a presentation. Patrick, who came from Intrust, gave the presentation. I spoke in the beginning and then he spoke. But it's all about educating people on how they can lend you money. You know, so the idea would be, once a month, we have this meeting, it's probably gonna be there. It looks so much nicer and bigger and all that stuff. We'll have Patrick come in, we'll have food, we'll have whatever. And they sit down. They're your client, they're there to be informed on how they can lend money. It saves you from having to understand all the details on how to tell them how it works, and it puts them in a safe environment with other investors, which you want them to be in. Hey, you're lending, yeah. That they can get information that they need. Okay, I did this before, and the problem I ran into is I did not have a strong enough team, and it was so new that people were like, you can't do that, you can't do that. It's been happening since '74, so it's been around for a while. Now you can go to the internet, and most people know about it, that yes, you can lend, they just have questions. Like, you had lots of questions on how does this work, and did you feel that he answered your questions appropriately?
I did.
Give them a little bit of what happened and what they can expect if they send somebody there.
Okay, Patrick is very articulate, he's very good, he's very competent and confident in his business manner. So I had a sense that he really understood the business, and there was no question I could pose to him that he couldn't answer, which was really good. Because I'd done a little research, and so I heard about things like having a sophisticated investor, and that generally that meant that either a person had to be investing over a long period of time, or had to have great wealth. And the assumption is that if they had great wealth, they accumulated it because they were smart enough to understand good business deals. And so when you think about some of the people that you're talking about that might have monies that they can loan, they probably don't necessarily fall into that sophisticated investor category. And it's like, so, you know, what about the SEC? Do you have any, you know, issues if you try to engage with them? Because I've done a little reading and they kind of talked about that, why you know, maybe not necessarily should. But he said that for, you know, the volume of transactions a person might be doing, it was quite okay to do that. So it's those kinds of questions that I had that to me are a little bit beyond the surface of, you know, how do you transfer the money from this account to another account? Because depending on where your monies are or where their monies are, if they want to put it in a self-directed IRA, which is what allows them to hold real estate in the first place, you know, there are mechanisms out there that are in place to make sure people aren't penalized when they go through those transactions. And I kind of feel like that's kind of basic kind of stuff, but there are a lot of other legalities that you could be facing that you might not be aware of. And he was quite able to answer all of those questions. It made me feel very confident. And what I like is that I started my research, I always say, back in 2012 or so, and into 2013. And most of the companies that I was looking at weren't local. And so, you know, it's kind of one of those things where sometimes you feel like you want to be able to sit across the table from somebody and look them in the eye, because that's your business and that's your money. And
Yeah,
maybe an email or a
totally.
phone call is not getting it. So I really like the fact that they come into the area, and it gives you that, because some of the others out there aren't. And he's quick to tell you who his closest competitors are and what he feels like their organization is able to offer, you know, above that. And, you know, you've got the standard model, and plus you have something called checkbook, you know, Arthur Wright. And though he's not a fan of it, he was quite willing to discuss it, and he will lend himself toward what the investor wants to do, not necessarily impose his own ideology per se on you. So I like that kind of flexibility in his approach too. I felt like I could go in there and not be told what to do, but have my questions answered so that I can make the most informed decision that I want. And I haven't yet done this because I've been kind of busy with that thing I call a job. But, you know, they're quite willing to send you their fee schedule too, so because there are fees that are associated with the various types of transactions, and it kind of allows you to do some of your own homework too, to make sure it's the right fit for you.
Right, I've heard him speak too, and he'll even tell you how to cut their fees down.
So that's
So he's not all about the money, he's about,
Mhm.
here's your choices, you decide.
Right.
You want us to be involved or do you not?
And those are all the reasons that we're trying to set up a home team. For those fears and concerns that people have, when you have a home team, and what I'm talking about a home team is, you got somebody local. UMB Bank was the other one that used to be able to do it, but they weren't on a large scale. They're kind of like, yeah, we can do it, but they're not huge. Intrust is huge. You know, it's the second, third, or fourth largest one. Intrust is the largest, and to me, it is so large that it's not responsive. I have 3 daughters. I have an IRA set up for each one of them. The last one to get transferred, I started in October. It just got transferred at the beginning of this month. And there's 180 days is the maximum you can take to transfer your money.
I think you misspoke. You
Said,
said
yeah.
interest was large. I think you
Yeah.
meant one of the others.
Equity.
Equity trust.
Yeah.
Equity trust is the largest, and I moved my money from there to another place with my kids. In trust, when I found out that they were in town, I immediately met with him and spoke with him to see if he was knowledgeable and so forth. Found out he was very knowledgeable, could answer the questions. Then my team, I'm trying to get as a lawyer and a CPA to be here in town, because people want to know, well, legally, when we enter into it, is this document going to support what we're trying to do? It's not a matter of telling Intrust what to do, but you also have to have the correct documentation so that you don't create a prohibited transaction. Who you can do business with and who you can't do business with. The other aspect is with rentals and creating income, you got UBIT, you know, which is a tax that you gotta worry about. And then most CPAs don't know what you're even talking about with that. So I need somebody who's knowledgeable on that tax, and a lawyer who says, yes, these are the documents, it's okay. And then Intrust, who can be here and tell you this is how we do it. With that team, I believe now, you can bring people in, you can have them go through the meeting, and they feel comfortable, and now we've got money that we can play with, okay? Because if it's getting chilly, you can shut those doors and so forth, making that adjustment.
Jim, I'm sorry, I'm trying to take notes here. So the company's interest, what's the guy's name again?
Patrick David.
Patrick
Patrick Hagan,
Hagan.
I have it all here for you.
Thank
Anybody need information on Patrick?
No, thank you.
He's the one I recommend, and of course, we don't get any profit from helping you set it up. There's nothing, even without a security license, that's not, they make a very, very little bit, they make maybe $195 on your account a year. The more money you have, over $30,000, they make more money, basis points. It's a transactional fee that they make.
And, okay, just for clarification, so this is where we bring private investors.
It's twofold, I would say.
Two different people. There's 2 people you want to bring to this meeting, or you have invited to the meeting. The investor who wants to buy real estate in their portfolio. They want to buy your rehab,
Okay,
and they want rental property inside their portfolio.
okay.
Here's the question you gotta ask. How would you like to have income from rental properties that you never have to pay tax on. That's like a no-brainer.
Right.
Well, yeah, how do you do that? Well, you simply go to this seminar and they're gonna tell you how to do that. That's one individual who wants to buy turnkey properties and put inside their Roth IRA that it forever pays them income tax-free money. That's like, you don't have to say that twice. The other one is, hey, I'm wanting to partner with somebody, like a silent partner. I'd love to pay you a return on your investment, but I'm looking for someone who has $50,000 to $100,000 that would be able to help me buy a property or two every now and then, and I'd give you a rate of return on your money that's secured by property. Would you be interested in going to a seminar and learning how you can do that? And by the way, the profits that you make on that would be income tax free, and you never have to pay tax. Would you be interested in something like that? Or you say, would you know somebody that would like to do this? Don't even direct it to them. And if they're quick enough, they go, maybe
I'd like to do
maybe
that."
I would wanna do that.
Right.
Oh, well. So that's the two ways that you would pitch that.
So, okay, so I'm just to kind of say this back to you, so we're, as far as people to send here and make the connection, we're looking for people who have an IRA and wanna add real estate to their IRA.
That's one.
That's number one. Then number two, we're looking for people who wanna put in $100,000 and in 6 months get back 110 or 115 grand, wanna make, 10, 15% on their money, which is,
But never tell them to percent.
never tell them the
No.
percent.
Just say that you could get a nice return on your investment. You never wanna tell them a percentage, you never wanna say that it's guaranteed, you never wanna say that it's secure. You want them to go to the website, and Intrust has a wonderful website with all the information, they can go and look, and it tells them step by step, all that stuff. And that's probably what you wanna do, send them to Intrust, let them look and investigate themselves. I mean, there's stuff on how to, it's basic.
Okay.
Don't get caught up, but that's where the SEC can get you, is, well, you promised me I'm gonna get 12% return on my money. Let them, first of all, you want them to tell you, because if someone's getting 2% on their money, they might think 6% is great.
Sure.
And you say, well, what kind of return would you be interested in? And they tell you, and you go, oh, okay, well, we might be able to work that in. And we'll tell everybody that when we send them to these meetings, we're not gonna try to talk rate, obviously, we want to get the lowest interest rate possible. So we don't talk rates at the meeting and this and the other. Quick ones, after a while, they realize, hey, then they want to be a business partner with you, you don't want all that, you just want them to simply lend you money and stay away from the process.
So this is basically, right, I mean, what you just said, this is the way to get private investors involved without getting them too involved.
Yep.
So we, on our side, we partner with Interest Group to draw.
You partner with me.
Okay,
You're sending them to a seminar that we're gonna hold once a month, that they can all come to and be told the story. If you have money to invest in real estate, this is the mechanics, these are the mechanics and how you do it. Here's the package you can take home tonight and fill out, and you can begin the process. They're just wanting
this is
information.
somebody who has money, no time. roughly.
Correct.
Or they have time, but you just say, how would you like to make money and not do anything?
Right.
Okay, okay, good, thank you.
The one question you ask them, how would you like to invest in real estate with your qualified money and never pay taxes on the profits? That's the basic question. Now, let me qualify that for you. If a person is leaving, say, Boeing, and they have money that's already growing income tax free, but it hasn't been taxed yet, that's a traditional IRA. They can purchase real estate, but the profits will grow tax deferred, but they will have to pay on the income when it comes out. Once again, they'll get all that information there, and it's still better than paying along the way, yes.
So when somebody has something like that, say they have a traditional IRA, and they wanna put it, when you talk to them about doing that, they can make a Roth IRA and immediately start lending to you, but they can't pull any money out for 5 years, right?
There's a
I
difference
believe.
between traditional and Roth.
Right,
'Cause
but
he said
if they roll it
traditional.
over into a Roth,
First of all, you can pull your money out anytime you want.
well,
The
tax.
question is, you can pull your contributions out at any time out of a Roth,
Of a Roth.
income
season for 5 years before you do that, and you have to be over 59.5.
Any contributions you've made to Roth, you can pull them out anytime you want, because you've already paid the money on that,
Okay.
that contribution. So you can pull those out anytime you want. If you have a deal that's inside of that and it's road tax deferred, in order to take a distribution out and not violate that, it needs to sit there for more than 5 years.
Okay.
And still, you can take it out, but you're gonna pay a penalty on it if you're under 59.5. So you can always get to your cash.
But if you're over 59.5, you can just take it out. No
Take it out.
problem. Okay.
Also, the Roth doesn't force you to take a mandatory distribution after you reach 70.5. The traditional does. So, and then there's inherited IRAs and all that stuff we don't even want to talk about right now. That's a whole nother fun side that we can talk about, but I want to learn how to perfect this model, qualified money model, because I don't like dealing with banks. And once you get a group of people, I'm telling you, once we all do one or two with some investors, they yak to all their other friends who have cash. You will not have a problem finding money. They will start throwing cash at you.
What's your position on hard money lenders?
I do not like hard money lenders. Hard money lenders make money and you don't make money. 6 points, who was it, 6
Yeah.
points on it, so that's on a $30,000
Yeah,
loan.
5 points and 1.25% a month.
So let's just break down in
That's
plain
low.
English.
1.25%?
A month.
Per month on the total. It's
So,
So a $50,000,
13%.
So $50,000 loan would cost you about
Okay, no.
$6,700 at the end for 6
well,
months.
cause when I was talking about, we were talking, it's the same thing.
It's over
You were
1,000 a
saying
month.
monthly, I was
Yeah.
thinking an annual number, never mind.
No, it's about 1,000. It's over 1,000 a month to pay hard money lender.
I called all of them about 2 months ago.
That's where you go if you can't go anywhere else, right?
that's
Right,
right.
that's
Now,
your
there's
last
times I've
resort.
used hard money that it really makes sense.
Well, if you're trying to write a cash contract, but you're working with the bank, you know, that's the place I get stuck.
Transactional funding, is that what you're talking about?
No, I'm talking about like, if you're just trying to write a cash offer to quickly tie up a property with a bank or
Oh,
something like that, you know, your bank may not be able to get it done in 15 days.
right. Well, that's where the
Yeah.
private money works good too, because
Right.
you just call them and they wire the money and you're done.
Yeah, I mean, there's times when it makes sense, but it rarely beats the private bank you can set up with a person who's got money sitting there. I mean, even Equity Trust, they can do it in 24 hours, 48 hours. You can still do a cash contract. They're not gonna walk, you know, because usually you're gonna show proof of funds. It's there. You know, you don't have a problem getting the money there. It may take a day or two. You know, let them know you still gotta do title search, you gotta do whatever. I mean, you're still gonna do your due diligence, but you have cash.
Right.
You know, so it may take 3 to 5 days to get them the cash. So you also got to strong arm them sometimes too, to go, hey, I don't have a problem. We were doing with Memphis Cash Flow. He got like, I don't know, like $700,000 in his checking account. You know, I showed them that, it's like, shut up. You know, it's not like I can't get cash from it. So there were many times, it was like, once you show them that, you know, proof of funds, for that guy, it was okay. Okay, we'll wait a day or two.
Well, and you can get a proof of funds letter just by putting it in Google.
This is true.
You just take that letter in and it shows you got the
But
funds.
some of them will actually follow up and call the bank and this, that, and the other, and all that stuff, but, yeah, I hear you. And, you know, all those things are things you can do and get by, but your name, your business name is going to be the one that the realtors are dealing with over and over, and they go, oh, I'm not gonna deal with that person. You know, if you don't close on the deals you're supposed to, and all that stuff.
Well, it's real transactional funding though, through the internet. It's a company and they'll give you the letter and then if you get it, you just use them and you're done. So,
And those are kind of resources we need to know later on
Yeah.
for people. We
and you
need.
can put your business name in there, it'll print it right out, business name with the letter, everything. You can just take it in.
So those, I mean, it may be, especially if you can transaction, they'll let you buy it and the bank is gonna refinance from them and all you've got is your initial outlay. And sometimes it works. It all depends on the deal. You know, if you just have to have the deal, you know you can resell it, it makes sense. You know, I've done it sometimes.
Can I ask you a question?
Yep.
How long was that transactional funding?
It's just
So it's
to
for
get your
a
transaction
day,
done,
like one
Yeah.
day?
but then they charge you the money. It's like for doing like a wholesale deal or any of that
Right.
kind of stuff. But you can get the letter, and it's a real letter, if they call them and say, yeah, those funds are available to that person, and you can still do your other financing or whatever that you want on the other end.
And
Just
there's
a way
one
to
in the
stall
group
'em.
that does that too here locally, I can't remember what his name, Blanca.
Sure.
Sherry Peterson, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how that works, but.
Well, they all do it. All the hard money lenders will do transactional funding, but it's a different fee. But you have to call them and see what their fee is.
Those are people we need to have set up. I mean, it's definitely like right now, you see something, you get it. If it makes sense, it makes sense. But our goal would be to work toward a bank of private money lenders that you've got at your disposal, that's ready to go, that's seen your promissory note, that's seen your deed, that knows they have their money in trust, and all they have to say is, Patrick, I'm giving you my directional letter, and here's where I want you to direct the money to this title company, and you're set. That's the point where we want to be setting with 2 or 3 different people that have that kind of cash. That would be ideal. And I'm telling you, once we get 1 or 2 or 3 people in here doing it, and we've done a deal and a transaction, money will start rolling in like you haven't seen. The problem I had last time was people on the fringe started getting the same names that we knew and went behind my back and used my private money, and then they didn't complete the deal, and then the money dried up because their money was stuck in some properties that didn't get finished, and it kind of tainted the whole thing. So that's why you kind of want to keep it hush hush and keep your private lenders, and that's a rule we have here. You know, yes, you can use private lenders only if the person who initially had the contact gives you permission to talk to that other individual, otherwise they're off bases. Because you're doing the work trying to get your own private money, you don't want then other people to come by and when you're ready to do the next deal, you're tapped out because the lender goes, oh, I give you money, but I gave it to such and such. And you're like, what? And they're gonna wanna lend it to other people too, once they figure out, hey, I can lend my money out to this, it doesn't matter, I'll just have to keep it to Trevor. You know, and that's where within the group we say, no, we want to let Trevor know and ask, you know, if that's cool, if we do that. Those are just.
As long as they got millions, I'm cool.
Yeah, some people do. So that happens, and I know, like, hey, I got $4 million to loan out, and, you know, that's called a jackpot. I make a jackpot, you know, definitely tell everybody, hey, we can lend it. But that's what's called an accredited investor, not a sophisticated. An accredited investor has more than $1 million of, not necessarily liquid cash, but their net worth is worth $1 million, and there's other criteria. Those are at the level of money, hard money lenders. They're smart, sophisticated, like you say. But non-accredited investors are individuals, worked at factories umpteen years, has $300,000 accumulated, and says, you know, I'd like to play with $50,000 or $60,000. That's the kind of people I'm most interested in working with, because they don't get greedy. They simply want a return on their money, they want it on safe, it's secured by a property, or promissory note, a deed, and they're good to go. They give you the money, they don't stress you about it, they don't come look at the property, they just simply give you money, and once you show it went back to their account, they're happy. Simple, simple, simple.
So when we're looking at deals in this situation, I know like with a hard money lender, they would be looking at like 65% of ARV and stuff like that. Is there a ratio that we're trying to stay within?
I think you still want to maintain all of those same parameters that a hard money lender would use, because you're going to be doing the due diligence. That's another reason why I didn't like the other people getting into your business. I don't want them saying, no, I'm not going to lend on this, not lend on that. Because typically they don't have the real estate experience that you have. That's just fear talking for them. I don't like this neighborhood. I didn't ask you like the neighborhood, you know, lending me the money. But it's their opinion, and it's their right to say, I'm not lending in this area. But once you've done a deal or two, rarely do they get involved in your business. They know that's what you do, you just keep making me return on my cash. The challenge is you not to get crazier and crazier with your deal and just start thinking that it's gonna work out just because you have cash. You still have to look at it like, if this was my money, would I invest in this location? And that's hard to think until it's your money, and, you know, to think that way. Because we tend to think a little
See, I'm the opposite. I think that's where my fear starts to build up, because now I'm responsible for this person who's, you know, my husband's work associate, or my grandma, or, you know, whoever it is, that it's almost worse than if it's my money and I can fix it if I screw it up, you know?
And then that's a good way to look at it too. I mean, it's like, you know, you're putting somebody's money at risk. I mean, any deal. You know, the bank, yeah, they have a responsibility to go out and check it themselves, to do their own due diligence, but regardless, can you get in and out of this deal? So, it's a good thought. I mean, ever how you gotta run it through your mind, you need to, does it make sense? What's the worst case scenario? What about the woman now who's, I tell her the worst case scenario, and then she thinks that is what I'm saying. No, I'm telling you that so that, you know, this is the absolute worst. Well, I don't wanna be in this property for 6 months. I'm like, I understand that. That's what I said is the worst case. You know, ideally, I think we'd be in it. It's not gonna take that long to fix it, no. So, I have to be careful what I say sometimes, and how I say it. So, if I say something that really seems crazy, you know, ask me. 'Cause I'm trying not to say crazy things. Depends on what people say, and, you know, my wife is like, yeah. She'll do this, and she's not really getting it. You know, so when I'm saying stuff and you're really not getting it, be like this. Cause I get done talking, it's like, oh, you got all his numbers? And she's like, no. Stop listening about 2 minutes in. Cause I'm a very big numbers person. But anyway. Once we have cash, that's the point where I think we should start looking. Because now you go out and buy. Once you go out and buy, then it's what kind of deals are you looking at? Remember, we went to have sat down and created our buying plan. So now we know what properties we're looking to buy, and we're executing this plan. See, I'm going out trying to find a $9,000 rental or less that'll get me $550 a month. Okay, let's go look for it. Hey, I found it. Do you need to question whether or not you buy it once it identifies and fits in with your plan?
No.
No. That's why we develop the buy plan. So when you see it, automatically know that's what I need to get. You just buy it. What if it doesn't fit into the plan, you're trying to squeeze it in? Well, I think, you know, it's really a 1-bedroom, and it's cheap and whatever, and Tim, I think this is gonna work. Well, let's talk about it. You know, I've talked myself into buying 1-bedroom, 4-family. I know 1-bedrooms are the hardest, most ignorant property to try to keep a tenant in. At a price, in the hood, with steps. It's not your typical property, but did I buy it? Yeah. And I luckily sold it this year, last year. Paid $22 for it, sold it for $50. But I put all that in, the headache and all that, I was happy to be out of it. But, anyway, you'll violate your rules. That's why I'm trying to help. We have a buy plan that we really don't want to go against our buy plan, because there's a reason why we developed it. But there's sometimes that something will just look sweet and you go, I think I can make that work. Sometimes it goes another way. But if we have a buy plan, it helps us all know what we're doing and going through. Okay? Once we get the deals, there's certain ways we take pictures and turn it in, and I'm gonna try to get a Dropbox where we can then begin to upload our pictures and so forth. Once I go out with you a couple of times, I've gone out with Melanie a couple of times. She knows what we look for. She knows basically where to take pictures, take front, back, side, take pictures of the electric box outside. We're looking if there's a condenser outside. Does it have a cage on it? Is it there? When you walk inside, you take a picture of the kitchen, the living room, the bedroom, which I'm trying to get a floor idea, is the floor carpet or the floor, because you're gonna start looking at so many houses that you'll forget what was it that I looked at. Also take a picture up close of the address marker, you know, so that you know, and that's usually what I do the very first picture. Walk up to the house number and take a picture of that, then you scoot back and take a picture of the front of the house, the back of the house, and so forth. Then in the basement, I'm looking for a picture of the hot water heater, the furnace, the electric box, the stack, the condition it's in, the water meter if it's there, the gas meter if it's there, you know, just stuff that you can be able to tell. The house is intact, the copper is there, or it's not there, and the condition. Also, when you're in the kitchen, open up the underneath the sink to make sure you take a picture of that, you know, so then you can see if pipes are put in properly. Because a lot of times when you bring this stuff back after a while, I'm gonna be looking to see, is it in code or not in code? Because it can be there, but that doesn't mean it's in code. So then when you go to get an occupancy permit, you may have to rip it out, and put it back because somebody else put it in improperly. So, I think those are just kind of pictures you're taking. And try to get into a pattern that you take them the same way all the time. And always have what extra what with you when you have your camera?
Shoes.
Batteries.
Oh.
Shoes.
Yeah, shoes. And then there's a way, we're just about done, but when you, these are just my rules. When I go check out a property, here's what I do. Sometimes a realtor will give you the access code to get in. I don't go in the front door until I've gone around the back to see if the door is secure or not secure, if there's somebody else that might be waiting in there while you in there. But I always go around the back just to kind of see what's the condition, because sometimes doors are kicked in or dogs or whatever. You walk inside the property and you got a surprise. Also, if you're single and you go, let somebody know where you're going and you know the address, just common sense things that you get to more and more areas that are a little rougher or whatnot. You kind of want to know. Also, I was telling Melanie, when you go to the backyard and it's an adjoining property, do not walk real close to the other fence because there's pit bulls and dogs and all kind of other things that can greet you rather quickly and make you wet yourself. So, just word to the wise, just done those a few times, and you never know what you'll run into the back. I mean, I've busted up drug deals, you know, where you know that's happened, and you just come around the corner and you surprise people. Sheds, when you're opening up sheds, I mean, there's all kind of things that you can really surprise yourself with.
I came across two fast up guys in a vacant house's basement once.
Say that again?
I was showing a house with this young girl and it was vacant and we walked down in the basement, we flipped the light on and there were two guys passed out on a mattress. We like, turned the light on, we backed up the stairs, we were like, they didn't wake up, but
Yeah,
it
you,
scared them.
you can run into some stuff, so just be wise to that and be careful. Have your flashlight, you know, all those different things. And another thing, when you're looking at one house that's foreclosed, generally there's 3 more in that same vicinity. Get those addresses down, search them and send letters, and you know, those are just things that you can get. We want to buy non-MLS properties if at all property possible, because we don't want to get into a highest and best situation with other investors. We can buy it off the MLS, non-MLS, from investors, wholesalers, or wherever, that's great. Now, your assignment this time is to locate as many wholesalers as you can, name and phone number, to bring back with you next time, or email in. We'll start compiling lists, which will be wholesaler list, buyer's list, Section 8 people list, and realtor list. So there's all kind of lists that we're going to start compiling so that we have access to those lists. If anyone has, I'm trying to get a database online and I found one that is supposed to be really simple so we can keep this information there so that when we do MailChimp or whatever, we've got a database of contacts and information. I can't think of the name of it, but there's a free one online.
For,
What was the name
for
of it?
what?
Database to capture and keep information, names
Oh.
and so forth, lists. Right. Okay. Has to be free. Okay. MailChimp's free. So, think of those things. Any questions you have? Yes.
Okay, so you're talking about compiling a list of wholesalers, so we're looking for people who currently have stuff going on, or they,
Your question is, how do you find wholesalers?
well, that, and, okay, so for example, I mean, Melanie and I have attempted on several occasions, we put in offers and have tried to do some wholesaling ourselves. We haven't yet gotten anything.
You would not qualify.
I understand that, But okay, so means someone has done some wholesaling in the past, they don't currently have anything in their
That's fine.
portfolio or whatever. But as long as they have done stuff and they're still working to do it, they might qualify.
Yeah, as long as they're
There's
active.
true wholesalers out there that put stuff on Craigslist all the time, and you see their name pop up, you know, those are the people that I'm talking about. They really actively are turning 3 to 4 properties a month. Those type of people.
Put an ad on Craigslist saying you buy houses and they will call you. I've gotten several calls from wholesalers. Nobody to sell me their house, but wholesalers asking me what I'm looking for and where I'm looking.
And you'll find out, you'll be able to determine who really is in the business and who's just calling you because they went to a class last week.
Right.
And
That's their homework.
you'll know the difference. I don't want, we're not talking about those people. I'm talking about bona fide wholesale people who's got some inside and this and the other. And
And how long of a list are we trying to make?
as much as we can.
As many as possible.
Because see, the whole deal is, we want to, well, let me tell you, I have a philosophy. And you may or may not buy into it. I don't like running around looking at 50 million properties to find what I'm looking for. I like for a wholesaler to call me up and go, I got this property I know you're gonna like. They know what I buy, they know where I buy, they know what price range I want, and they do the work for me. This is how I used to do it in yesteryear. There's this guy, Steve, his last name. And he'd go out and bird dog all my properties. And he'd narrow it down to like 4 that I'd have to go see. And then I'd go out one day and I'd look at all the properties. And I'd say, yeah, I want this one. And he'd go, okay, and he locked it up and bought it. And he'd make his 3 or 4 grand, and then I would buy it from him. I don't have a problem with that. Because I'm not searching around all day long. You do the rehab because it fits into my buy plan. If it fits into my buy plan, I don't have a problem giving the guy 3 or 4 thousand. Because I don't want to get into the highest and best on an MLS. Then you can really pay more than you really want. Also, there's deals that sometimes you can just pass on. This wholesale is still sweet enough for you, you can pass it on to somebody else, and a couple $1,000 yourself. But it eliminates the time you're gonna spend looking at a whole bunch of different properties. If we're constantly looking at creating cash for ourselves, and the turnkey person is looking to buy the property from you, you're gonna make your money on the sale. You want to have 2 or 3 properties going on where you're selling to a turnkey person who says, you know, I'd like to buy 9 properties over 3 years for myself. You say, great, I'm gonna sell 5 in 40. And you've got a deal and an agreement with them that they're buying the properties from you, so as quickly as you can get them rehab and get rented, then you're turning it over to this guy.
So my follow-up question to that, okay, so we're building this wholesale list, and we're talking about the buy plan. So we need to develop that buy plan first, so that we can tell wholesalers what we're looking for.
Yep.
So then we'll be talking with you the next day or 2.
Possibly.
Okay.
Yep. And that's the next thing we need to find out time to sit down, do your one-on-ones. Get your, all your information filled out. Payment plan, contact information, trying to get you into coaching, coach accountable, piece of software I gotta set up where I can get information to you, get software to you, documents to you, in a timely, normal way. So be patient with me as I grow with you guys and get it together. You notice I don't have a secretary sitting out front
Right.
handling all these things. If you know of somebody that's perfect and great and is skilled in that, I'd like to know. If they work somewhere on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, that's great. I need that person. Preferably somebody social media skilled and all that stuff.
If you have another.
It's no problem, sir. So give me a call and let me know when we can sit down and do a one-on-one.
Absolutely, and since the 2 of us are working together, we'll probably meet with you at the same time.
Yep, sounds good.
Is that next time you call them, so that one-on-one?
Yep, so, yep.
Sort of.
Yep. It is, we just find time. Any questions way back there, Carson? No. Any other questions, comments? Beneficial tonight, work to get this massive information. And training piece too. The concept that I'm moving toward is turnkey. We're all able to sell our stuff turnkey, and then we're gonna find some gems along the way that we stuff into our own pocket.
Right, we cherry pick.
We cherry pick, and we sell the rest of the stuff to them, and we create this buying market. And we gotta find a good property manager, they're very, very hard to find. When I mean good is, they take care of the client, keep the house full, they make sure the grass is cut, we don't get municipal fines, and they just basically make the investor feel good. It's hard to find, unless you guys know something's really good, I don't know, but property managers make them happy, your investor happy. If your property manager is treating the investor good, they're gonna be happy.
So you wanna make it to where we do turnkey and here's a property manager you're gonna use and all this stuff.
We're gonna help them out.
Not let them just figure out their property.
No, I prefer not to.
So rent, fix it, rent it, get it managed, and sell it. At a premium. To anybody, local investors, hedge funds, anybody just runs animals.
Typically, you're not gonna find anybody local. People local are cheap, they're only gonna pay you $35,000 for a 3-bedroom, fully rented, and getting $750 to $850. That's all they're gonna wanna pay is $35,000. We can do that, but that means we're into it all in at 25. That's tough, that's hard to do. Now, we can do all of that and sell it to somebody in California who will pay us $49.99.
Yeah, California.
Yeah.
Still
I think that's
Yeah,
cheap.
it's still different. And they may even go up to 60. But now we got 15 grand that we can put in there and be totally fine. It still cash flows for them.
So what are we looking to make on houses? Like kind of
15 is what
15?
I like to be in at 35 and sell it at 50. We make 15 and move on.
Do you anything those 3 school districts? Let me do some marketing, I've heard a lot, you got those 3 school districts that kill us, deal breakers.
You mean like Riverview?
Riverview and Jennings,
Right.
stay away,
I don't.
you know.
Because I go where other people won't go. That's just my, I go to Castle Point. I have a problem with Castle Point. Nobody likes Castle Point because it's Castle Point.
Hey,
I only live like 3 miles from Castle Point, so I mean, in Bell Fountain. So it doesn't bother me.
That's where Chris Clean.
Chris Creeler, right? Yeah.
Yeah, he has one.
I bought one of his with one of my students. It was fine. $14,000 all in, nothing to do. He spent some more money, but really didn't have to. They have cleaned that area up. County came in and cleaned it up. People from California, some know, don't buy in Castle Point, but some don't. Castle Point is not a problem that it used to.
I know people that hold there.
Yeah,
Friends of mine
you can
just
get a
hold
property
there.
for $5,000 or $6,000 in there. I'd like to buy a whole bunch.
That $9,000 property you're talking about is in Jennings.
Jennings used to have a real bad name too, because when the police came in, when county took over from Jennings, all the criminals, they couldn't be criminals no more, said, I don't wanna live there. But that has kinda changed. I also look at the model, there's single mom or professional women who are like 50s, who have their grandkids every now and then. They can handle a payment $500-600, like, and where I live in Bell Fountain, that's all I see moving in. Professional women who are living there by themselves, or they get their grandkids every now and then. They don't worry about school district. They're not having any kids in the school district. They pay $700 rent, no problem. Brand new cars, they live there. I mean, Bell Fountain is a nice place to live. You can't go to restaurants, but I mean, seriously, live there. The community is nice. They take care of the roads. The recreation center is good. The weight room is good. You just can't go out and eat. But the police are there. Low crime. It's a nice little community that people don't really recognize. But that would be our next group of people that we're marketing to. Single adult women who are looking for a nice 1-car garage, 2 or 3 bedroom house, they can pay $50,000. That's the ideal place. Now everybody else is running away from that. So if everybody else is running away, all we gotta do is market and find how many people we got here, 7, 8, 9 people. We gotta get 40 or 50 people who say, hey, why don't you move here? And it's a nice little community, because you can steal some houses in there, nice. 2-bedroom usually, fully maintenance, and the inspector is tough out there. So the community stays consistent. But yeah, if you got a single family, that's not the ideal place to go unless you got private schooling. Like our kids go to private schools, so we don't care what the community school is. So it all depends on your philosophy and your niche.
What about Glasgow Village?
I I don't like that.
You don't?
That's a little rougher.
That's too much rental.
Too much wrong.
It's too much rental. I got out of there.
See, we used to like Glasgow, but
Yeah.
that was before the market
Yeah.
tanked.
I got out of there in 2006 when you start seeing groups of kids walking down the street in gangs and packs. That's when it's too much for me.
And you don't see that in Castle Point?
No.
So why are people so afraid of Castle Point?
Because
I've
the
always
name
wondered-
used to have.
Okay.
It used to be rough, but county came in and started policing that area too. And there's so many people that have bought houses and renovating it, it's a lot of rentals, but it's really changed. And it's also at the south, like Southampton, Hathaway Manor.
Hathaway Manor North.
Yeah, where south bumps up to Castle Point, that's a good spot. Now, north is across 270, and that's good, that's right near Blackjack, that's good too. But there's pockets that, think about it, you get a $3,000 house in Castle Point, and you put $3,000 in it, and you still rent it for $750. That's good money. So I'm telling you, I'll buy some stuff in Castle Point. And Moline Acres, which is even better, because people think it's Castle Point, and it's not. They got a real nice mayor. I sat down and talked with them, and they are really into renovating that whole area. They're getting grant money.
That's where you wanna go when you're getting grant money.
Yeah, go where people won't go, but ask why.
Are they investors there, or are they looking more to do it themselves and
Who?
put the mayor, if you say they're getting grant money?
Oh, they're getting like federal money. Parks, parks, sidewalks.
Yeah, that's not
lights.
for the individual houses, that's for the neighborhood.
I was just wondering if they had a model that kind of supported some of that, because they were doing something like that, I thought, for a minute in a section of Florissant, actually not far from here, straight out down the street. But they talked about, they were in the news and they said that, the community was kind of looking at some grants and they were picking up some of the houses and rehabbing
It's
them
neighborhood
themselves.
stabilization.
Yeah,
That's a different program,
yeah.
and that's, I don't like that program.
Sometimes what they might do is they give you, but you have to own the house and stay there, they'll give you money to fix it up, but you have to stay there over a certain amount of
But I
time.
think the community was doing this.
It has to be occupancy, you have to be the occupant.
Right.
Well, you know what, what's wrong with the neighborhood stabilization program?
It just comes with a lot of rules and regulations. I just stay with the government programs, because it takes them too long, they tell you what to do, you gotta put like 97% efficient hot water heater, which is like $700 hot water heater to get 1% better heating efficiency, then you can go to Home Depot and get the $300 one. And it's just a bunch of stuff, it's like, I don't want, I just don't deal with that. I know I wanna rehab, I'm gonna leave a nice, clean, efficient property, I wanna get in and get out. That's just it, get in and get out. So,
What are your thoughts on Spanish Lake?
it has its spots, it's okay, but it has its spots. Just like Jennings, Jennings has spots that I wouldn't go into, like, south of West Florissant, when you're in a frame built house, if you go north of West Florissant, you get the brick houses, those are nice, and Jennings, even right in that 367 Halls Ferry, there's brick houses on the north side of Belle Fountain, the south side of Belle Fountain, nice houses in the city, by the circle, there's some spots in there that's really good, you can pick up cheap stuff. Baden Mead got some spots that are nice, that you can pick up really, really cheap. It just depends on what your model is, and what you're looking to do, and who your management company is. But, I would probably have a lot of those properties personally for myself that I pick up. Looking at one now in West Florissant that we're gonna probably sell, flip to somebody right on West Florissant, nice little 2-bedroom house that we can probably put a 3rd bedroom as a walkout part of the garage now. And I think I got a buyer already that in my mind who would go there, that, we should probably be able to sell for 25. And that's getting it for hopefully $1,800-$1,900. So, that only needs maybe $400 or $500 worth of work.
You buy a house for $1,900?
Land on it.
You'd be like, whoa.
That's all I'm saying.
Them houses I need, man.
Henry, you've been in Boston too long.
Well, the loan on it
It's like an
is,
apartment, right?
the loan is $16,000. It's already gone into collections. What could they want? 10% is $1,600. Even if you had to pay full, it's still at $16 grand. But I don't think I'm gonna keep trying. I may have to give them $4 grand.
So where'd you find the lead for that?
I'm a student.
The students.
But she, well, not really a student. She wanted to do 50-50. She said, I want to be a student. I'm like, okay, so we do 50-50 with her. But do with it and how to manipulate the deal and get it, so. Just run around. But that's typically what happens, the student sometimes doesn't know how to make the deal work, which is normal. So you say, yeah, I'll bring this deal to you, and what do we do? And don't be offended if I say don't do anything. Because not that I got all the knowledge, I just I don't want you to say something or do something that just blows the deal up. And she had said some things and it's like gave me an indication, like, I'll talk with them, just don't worry about it. Because there's things you can say and do to a person that can totally make them nervous. She didn't have business cards, so when the person said, well, let me have a business card, she said, well, I don't have a business card, and this and the other, it's like,
I did that once, I think, all one.
yeah, they're like, how you gonna be a business, don't have a business card, this and the other, because then they think scam,
Right.
you know, and then that's not what you want them to think. You want them to be comfortable, and I've done this years and years, it's all okay, don't worry about it. That's what you want them to feel, you know, and that you're gonna take care of it. You know, so that's what you want to come across. So if we ever go into a situation we're talking, and I do like this to you, it's not, you know, a negative thing, it's just, let me finish talking, and then I'll tell you what I was saying or doing later on.
I mean, it's headache free.
Yeah. So anyway,
Like that.
that's kind of how I was, even I tell you later on, we had the realtor today after you left, and I was talking to him trying to get the insides. He was upset with me because he thought I was my brother. He was like, you did this and this and that. I was like, that sounded like something my brother would do. I didn't do that. I did buy a house on that street, but it wasn't me. And at first he didn't believe me. My brother's name is Jim, and I am Tim. No, I'm older than you. But we operate a little differently. So, kind of gets me in some trouble. He eventually was pretty upset. Anyway, any other questions? Be done for tonight.
Is there anything specific our card should say? Do we wanna, or just in general?
You know, I like the
business
card
name?
to be fairly simple and to the point. You know, some people say all this stuff on there, you do this, you do this, you do that. What are you specifically really doing?
Just want your name, or the company name, you said a picture of yourself, and then like rehab.
It's
Yeah,
simple description,
whatever.
you know, either are you buying or for yourself, are you buying for them, or, you know, what do you do? If you're turnkey, if you're trying to find people with turnkey, you know, with the turnkey solutions or whatever, provide, you know, whatever it is, keep it simple and to the point. Definitely have your email on there, your phone number, your name, your business name. I like it very simple for how they can contact me on email. You're talking over the phone, make sure that it's simple, that you know, you're not explaining 50 million times, you know, like, I listen to 91.5 and there's a Ligonier Ministries. Like, who knows how to spell Ligonier? You know, so it's like every single time you're trying to spell this to this person, and then if you're on the phone, it just think about the simple stuff when you say it over and over and over. It's just simple. You know. That's just me. Bright colors and all that stuff, that's good, not good, but it just depends. I like simple. But if you have your picture on it, that'd be good. Just so they remember.
And then Vista Print, probably one of the cheapest places to order those.
Mason Signs.
Mason Signs.
Mason Signs. It's on St. Charles Rock Road. Now let me tell you, you gotta know how to work with those people.
Just tell them Tim sent.
You gotta be standing in front of them. You might have to talk to them 2 or 3 times, like, hey, you know my business cards I sent you? Hey, could we get them printed today, like right now? I'm gonna stand here until you get them finished printed. And they're gonna sit there and I'm serious. They're cheap, but there's a reason why they're cheap. Good, I've used them for years. I do my signs. But I'm telling you, I'll call them up and say, hey, I'm coming to pick up my sign. Is it gonna be done? Yeah, come on, after 3. Call them at 3 o'clock. Hey, is my sign done? No, but we're working on it right now. You get there, where's my sign? Oh. You know, so expect that.
What's that say? It can be cheap and good, or it can be
And
good
quality.
and fast, or whatever it
Right.
is.
It may be all 3.
So that's what you're gonna get. So, and I've just used them for years, but you just gotta know how they will work.
And where that, so we'll just look up Mason Signs.
St. Charles Rock Road, Mason, I got a card home somewhere. And that's the thing too, we'll put a professional list together that you'll have access to. That you can deal with. The other one is right up the street.
Buzz had a seminar this weekend, and he was one of the
I have a
speakers.
couple people in mind, so let me know and I'll bring them.
Typically, they're gonna be Friday from 1 to 3. And then we'll try to do a weekend one too, and it probably won't involve him. I've got his PowerPoint, stuff like that.
Oh,
But we found that Friday from 11 to 3 was kind of long, and people get upset, and you gotta have lunch and all this stuff. So if we do 1 to 3,
Don't point at me, but if you have a lunch, you better have some lunch.
1 to 3, and typically you want to feed them lunch. I mean, you want it to be a professional, rich event. That you're catering to them, you're saying thank you for coming, you want to have that a nice spot. Brooks Bible College is free, and did it look fairly nice? I mean, once we're gonna.
Yeah, it looked pretty well.
We're gonna get chairs, we're gonna have.
Gotta get the PowerPoint set up and
His
stuff like
PowerPoint
that.
set up,
Yeah.
And I talked to him today about all those things that, we need. But, I think that'd be a nice place to hold that, getting all new chairs, so we'll have real chairs.
So if we find somebody and send them, you recommend that we go too?
You don't have to, it'd probably be good, but you don't have to. I mean, that's the whole piece, is I don't want you to feel that you have to.
Well, some of us, I know we have jobs, so I didn't know.
Right.
Yeah, you don't care about
What
that.
recommendations are on that.
That's a screener too. When you make them have to give up time or effort, that's an automatic screen for you.
Right.
That's why I do it in the middle of the day. Is it important to you? We're not just, and we're gonna give you lunch. I'm gonna give you lunch, which, we'll all be kicking in for that. St. Louis Bread Company, getting the little sandwich and the chips and all that. It's a nice lunch. They already work with Brooks Bible College and give us a deal. They got a commitment. And they're talking about giving, $100,000 or $50,000 in your behalf. So we want them to know that, hey, this is for real.
Right.
And we're gonna treat them as such when they get there, too. And we won't have large groups. It'll probably be 20 people or less. So it'll be some RSVP. We're gonna get that set up with, what's that site called? Eventbrite, where we'll send out an invite, they'll RSVP, it'll give them their ticket, it'll give them all the directions. That'll be there the next time around. But, that's what I'd like to do. And I gotta coordinate what's their schedule at the college. Once they get there, they're gonna start moving in May, like May 15th they'll start. But I don't think any classes are given on Friday. And that's why I wanna also avoid anybody being in the building too, so we've got the whole building that we can, have be ours.
Okay.
And we always have it here, but. And I'm open to privately meeting one-on-one or whatever, if you say, hey, I want to come out to your house. Initially, till we get something built up, I'm gonna have to go wherever I gotta go. But
I was just asking that because I've told you what I do, and we're going into busy season. So Friday 1 to 3 is a no-no.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Friday's one of the busiest days.
Yeah. And we'll try to do a Saturday too. If a Saturday's a good day to keep it. Any other day that you guys say, hey, this would be great or whatever. I also gotta constantly think about my schedule and not being running out and all over the place. That's the problem I have is, once we get going, I'm like, I wanna go, and then I forget, oh, yeah, I see my family. So I gotta be conscious of that. Year to the life and air principle. That's it. Thank you, guys. Hopefully it's beneficial. I need to meet with you individually later on this week, so call me, we set up times during the day.